All right, so today we're going to be talking about media query, and after that, we're going to be talking about We're going to be talking about the transform, transition, and animation properties. So these are really useful. Media query is really useful anytime you need to change the layout or to do something based on what is going on the browser there or the user screen there like that. So for example, you want your cards here. So if you look at this side on a view screen, this card here now it is 4 items placing side by side. But once it goes to a particular screen, you see that it changes to 2 per line. So with the help of media query, you can achieve what is going on this page, because in media query can tell to you that once the width of the screen is below this other stuff, this is how I want my content to be arranged, or this is the styling you want to use at a particular range of screen that the user is using. So when they're on a small screen, you see that all those menus are no longer showing again because there's no more space. So something else is not being displayed or is not being displayed in a separate way there like that. So with the help of media query, you'll be able to do all this. But without a media query, there's no way you're going to do that, because or unless you use JavaScript there like that. But we don't want to do that. We want to do it directly from the CSS. And how do you use media query? So media query is one of the art rules. So it's part of the art rule because you are given a rules. So it's when that condition is met, that's when it's going to do whatever you want it to do. And media query is part of it. And what is art rule? All those art rules now, they used to start with this art. So almost all of them start, as you can see, there's a lot of them. So we have the font face. This is one we're going to be using later on to define our own custom font that is on the system or that we already have in our project. So we are going to use it to define the name of the font and where it's going to look for that font. But that's not what we are after right now. What we are after is the media. So this is the media here. And this media, you can attach different condition to it, and based on the condition you attach to it, whatever you have inside this curly brace will only get run when that condition is met. So if that condition is not met, then whatever you put there is not going to do them at all. And what are you going to put there is just your select or your rule set that you normally do. But here now we did not put it inside anything, we just define them. But what we want to change the color when we're on a small screen, because if you look at this box now, the box is having the background color of red. But what if you are on a small screen, we want the background colors to be orange, or we want it to be another color and so forth like that. So you can define a media query, and from that media query, you specify the condition. And based on what we want to do right now, which is to look at the width of the screen. Then if it is less than a particular stuff, we want to do something there. So and how do we do that? So your condition will be in a bracket there, and inside this place, this is where you specify the condition. And this can come with different condition. One of them is that we can look at the orientation. For example, here we can look whether the orientation is portrait or it's landscape. So when the screen or when the browser or whatever the interface you're using, when it is in landscape mode, then it's going to give you whatever you want. And if it is portrait too, whatever you are doing here is going to you know bring it up. But that's not what we are after. What we are after right now is a minimum width. So we are dealing with screen. So here you can specify that, okay, as long this thing is having this minimum width, this is what you want to do. And for example here now, or if you want, you can use max width, which is depending on what you are trying to target. So if you are targeting from that screen downward, you are going to use max. If you are targeting from that screen upward, you are going to use min like that. There's still a better way of doing this in a modern browser, but I will be using this one because all the browser, even the old one, if someone take their old system of 2010 downward like that, or 25, if they load your site there, it will still work. But recent browser, you don't need to be doing it in this way. You can actually do the width directly by just saying width. Then after the width, you now be using the greater than symbol, less than symbol, greater than or equals to, which means from here and above, like that. Or if you do like this, it means it's not including this one too. So it will start from 601 and so forth like that. But I will be using the old one that is supported by every browser like that. So when you do max, it means this is a maximum width. So from this width downward. If you do max, if you do min, from this width upward and so forth like that. So here now we can do max 600. And what does this mean here? What it means is that as long the screen is less or equals to 600, the direction will always be column. You know, by default, when you display as flex, the direction is going to be the row, like that. But what we are not saying, at that point, at this screen, we don't really have enough space. So what are we doing? We are placing everything on top of each other. And where we play, as you can see by now, or right now, the content are placed side by side. The same thing too, when you go less, and then luckily for us, you don't need to be doing all this, reducing your screen like this to, move to, your browser come with the screen emulator, so you can use it to emulate different screen size. So once you click on this, it will toggle the device emulator, and as you can see right now, it's in responsive mode. And from here, you're going to see the size. Yeah, and again too, it comes with some of the predefined size, like some of the global common breakpoint for screen sizes. So for small screen, this is it here, which is this 320, like that. This one too is still mobile, but it's just a medium mobile, so it's around that 375. Again, we have this 425 pixels. This is mobile too, which is all this iPhone there. So this is where this range now is for iPhone 12 and so forth like that upward. So this is the range. It's not that it's going to be this 425, but it's in this range of 400 and something. And you can come down here, you see some of the common screen here already. So if I click on it, as you can see, that iPhone SE now is 375 like that. So for the Pixel 7, as you can see, 412. iPhone 12 Pro, as you can see, 390, but it's still in that range of 400 and so forth. 14 Pro Max, as you can see, 430, like that. Even though this one is a 425, but 14 Pro is 430, but it's still in that range. And that's the reason you see that it jumps. So once we get to this screen, which is 768, this is the base for all tablets. But that doesn't mean all the tablets will always have this 768. This is the base. So all tablets, the minimum you can see is this 768. But that doesn't mean all tablets will always have it. Some of them say even have this laptop here. So, but this is the minimum for laptop. So any laptop you are going to see, the minimum you are going to see here is this 1024. But that doesn't mean all the laptop have the same. Like this one now, this screen I'm using right now, it is 1600. Why the other one I'm using with the window on, that one is 1920. So like that. So it all depends on the screen. You know, some laptop they are 13 inches, some are 14 inches, some are 16 inches, and so forth like that. So depend on this in there too, their screen too will be different, like that. So, and as you can see right now, you can see this 1440 now is not, this thing will tell you this percentage you are seeing here is the emulation, because you are emulating device, not that this is the real device. So it's telling you that the screen you are seeing right now, you are only seeing 85% of it. This is not the 100% of the screen. Why? Because the screen I'm currently using right now, the resolution is set to 1600, and as you can see, some of these elements have taken up the space already. So those spacing, by the time you add them together, it will sum up to 1.6 like that. So which means here now is just showing us how it's going to look like on 1440, but you can only see the 85% of it. If you increase the percentage, maybe I take it to 100, you can see on this screen, for me to get 100% based on the available space I have here, so the maximum I can get is this 1263. But I can actually reduce this extra stuff that is by this side. So you can see that it's increased there like that, because all this extra space, it's like it is 16. So all this extra space is the 300, be 200 and something that is left there like that. So assuming it's the other one, the window that I used to use, that one used to emulate 1440 at 100. It is even if I have this thing by the side, because that one is 1920, like that. It's really far from each other. So this is where you can emulate, because when you're working on this thing, there's no way you have all the devices to test everything. What do? You just look at how it's going to look like on those screen. But still, you have to test on those screen later on, or the user will do the testing for you. And if there's anything, they will report. But when you are developing the stuff, there's no way you have all the there's no way you have all the gadgets that the user are going to be using. So what do? You emulate, and again, too, you don't just emulate anyhow like that. You work on based on the range of device. All those devices too, they have the set of range they use to bring another. They will just you'll be doing for 200, you do for 300, you do no. We have range, and that's the reason why on the browser it's displaying this common range of breakpoint, and this is what we call breakpoint here. So before you jump to another screen, where is it breaking to the other one? So we call it breakpoint. And almost all these things they have common breakpoints. So we have the common breakpoint depending on the tooling you are using or the CSS framework you are using there like that. But the common one is what the browser is already showing for us. As you can see, this Bootstrap now, this is one of the CSS framework that you can use. So instead of you typing all the CSS yourself, it comes with all the predefined design, component, element, and so forth like that. Your own is just to use what they are giving you there. And as you can see, can you see their small screen? Anything less than this 576, that's what they call the small screen. Again, it's still mobile, but all from here now to all the way from this one are there. So greater or equals to 576 all the way to this 768 like that. You will see all those small phone or medium phone. Then medium, which is your tablet. So large, they have extra large, and they have this extra large there. And as you can see, each one of the breakpoints. So which means when you are designing and you are using their breakpoint, so anytime you use anything like medium, just know that medium, which is this MD. So anywhere you use MD, you are talking to the screen from 768 all the way to this one, because the next one, that's where it will break. So it will not go to that one there like that. And what can you do, as you can see on their stuff, they have different components that you can use. So you don't need to start designing all this in yourself like that from scratch. What you just need to just use their classes. Behind the scene, all the necessary CSS that will generate this in, it's going to, you can see now, instead of you designing all this thing yourself, this is the only two things you just use. And from there, you have the final design, all these things. So doing this thing yourself, there's a lot of classes you need to type in order for you to be able to do all these things. But using this framework, you have all these things out of the box. Your own is just to use it wherever you need it there like that. The same thing for their buttons too. You can see, just pass the class, and based on the classes you have there, it will generate the corresponding styling that you want there. So the same thing here too. The browser have some of these common breakpoints like that. So depending on the system you are using, what I mean by system is the CSS system or the library you are following, they have their own set of breakpoint, but all of them, they are always in this range. So you can click on this thing to quickly check the range of devices there. So for the laptop, you see here, so this is where the laptop started from, but this doesn't mean this is the final laptop. So this is just small laptop. You can see this is another laptop, but this is a large laptop. So this one is going to be around that inches for 13 inches, or let's just say 12 inches and above. You are going to see them in this range and so forth like that. So this is what we're going to be using now to quickly switch from one screen to another, so that we can emulate or to see what is going on. For example, here if I click on small screen, as you can see, all of them is still staying side by side. But that's not what we want. When we're on this screen, anything screen less than what we have here, so anything less than 600 like that, we want the stuff to be stacked on top of each other. And once I save it now and go back to the page, can you see now? So the content is now stacked, so it's not side by side again. And if I change the screen now to a bigger screen, you now see that it is now side by side, because by default here we said it's going to be row, so it is row. So the only time this one will work is when this condition is met. So when this condition is met, that's when it will come inside and perform wherever you have it. So if this condition is not met, it will not enter this box at all, and that's the reason why you see that it's no longer working again like that. So if I click on this container, so you see what is going on. So this is a box container. If you see down here, you can see that that style is not even showing at all, because it's not seeing it. The only time to see what is inside this box is when this condition is met. So now if I change it to small screen, which is below 600, like that, you see that you are going to see now the media query. Can you see here? It will now come outside. So that's when it will see it. So the only time CSS will see it or the browser will see it is when the condition is met. That's when the CSS will release the stuff, and the browser will pick it up and it will do the necessary stuff it needs to do with what we have there. So now if I disable it, as you can see, it disappear because it's no longer see it again. And if it's below, so I can increase it as long as it is below 600. So as you can see now, after 600, this is 600, it will still see it. But once it's 601 or any number above 600, it will not see it again, and it will do whatever you want it to do by default like that. So this is what we call the media query like that. So if you want something to happen within a specific range, now this one is talking about downward, or you can talk about upward. But what if you want to talk about in between a particular stuff? So you can always do that one too. But make sure that I don't really use this one again these days like that. So you can actually combine the mean and max together, or you can combine multiple conditions together. So here we can do mean width. So mean width is going to be, let's say, 768 pixels, and so here you can combine multiple conditions by using the and. So with this and, you can combine multiple conditions there like that. So here we can do max width to be 1200 pixels. So what you're saying here is that this stuff here, whatever you want to do here, it will only happen if the screen is having the 768 and above, but that above too, it have to be limited, which is going to be this 1200. So the minimum is going to be, so anything in between this range, that's where is going to apply what we have there. So for example, like box container here, we want the background color to be, let's just say, this pale green like that. So save. So go back to the page, you'll see that the background is, am I in that range? They're like, yeah, I'm not. So as you can see, nothing is happening. But now if I click on this 768, you see that it changed to that pale green. And again too, it will always be pale green until this value is above 1200. So it will get to a point, it will pass 1200. As you can see now, since that's past 1200, then it will not see it again. So you can have multiple condition there. So when it is this and this, but majorly this one is going to do a lot of work for you. Like sometimes you need it like that. But in order for you not to be doing the work in this way, in order for you not to be doing a lot of media query, we have philosophy, or we have guideline that we normally follow there. And what is that guideline? Guideline is that you should always work for mobile first. So your design by default, without you using any media query, it should always work on a mobile. Then anytime you now go to a bigger screen and you need changes, then you can now scale it up. And that's what we call the mobile first design. So we have something called mobile first design. So what this means is that whatever design you are doing, it's always going to work on the mobile by default. So which means any CSS you'll be doing at the top here, or you always do it in a way that you are focusing on the mobile at that point. Then down here, you can now scale it up. But some people, they prefer desktop design first. Like they do the desktop first, then they will now scale it down and use media query to make it work on the mobile. But you are going to do a lot of work when you are doing it in that way. But some people prefer it that way. But me, I always follow mobile first design. That's the approach, because almost like 90% of people these days, when you have your site, you see they come from their mobile phone, not laptop there. So, and since a lot of people have phone these days and internet on it, so a lot of people use their phone to browse online. So, and that's the reason why whatever you are doing, always make sure that it works best, except if that software that you are building or the site you are building there, or the application you are building is not meant for mobile. So maybe it will not work well on a mobile. Then you can focus, for example, like dashboard now. You know, dashboard have a lot of things that it doesn't really work well on the mobile. But that doesn't mean your design too should still not look okay on the mobile. And what, as from this moment on, anytime we are going to be doing design, whatever setup we are going to be doing here, we are going to be focusing on the mobile first. then we now scale it up later on. It's not that they will still not work too when you go to desktop. You just as you now see that it's some of them that you just need to adjust. But when you're dealing with more, when you're dealing with desktop first, you see that you have to do a lot of downgrade because those things, the way they are arranged, they see a lot of spaces that are there, so they are not meant for small screen. But when you design already for small screen and when you want to scale it up, it's always easier to scale up because you have enough space. So those things, they will not really, jam pack together on a big screen like that. But later on, we're going to be using this a lot. But this is not the only thing you can use media query for like that. So you can always use it maybe when you want to check whether the user is on dark mode or light mode. When you go to some site, when you're in dark mode, you see that everything is going to be in dark mode. For example, now, like YouTube, if you go there, where's my this thing? You're going to see that it's showing the stuff in dark mode. Why? Because they are looking at my system. Is in dark mode. As you can see, everything is black. But when you go to this same site, and when you go there with your browser that is in light theme, you see that everything will be white, even though you can still change it if you go to the setting. But by default, they used to follow whatever, as you can see, the appearance. Can you see that it's using device? So it will check whether you're in light mode or dark mode, and based on that, it will pick it up automatically. So how do you do that? You can actually do it with CSS, but CSS will not be able to toggle it for you like this. So you'll be the one that will use JavaScript now when you want to be doing toggle. But if you want to listen for direct dark, or you want to listen for direct light based on what the device is using, this is the media query you are going to be using there like that. For example, here now we can just do at media. So in the condition, what we'll just do is this prefer color scheme. So as you can see, when it is dark or when it is light, then it will do. So when we are in dark mode, this thing will only happen. So this color here now, it will only use black when you check this site on a dark theme. So when you're on a dark theme, your system, can you see, is going to use black like that. But I can't change it because my system is not in dark mode. But what I have to do is go to the system setting, change from light mode to dark, from dark mode to light mode, and you see that. So let me even change it from here. So let me remove it. Just like to yeah, as you can see now, so I've removed the dark theme. As you can see now, you no longer see it again. And if I go back to the dark theme, so once you see that your system is using dark theme, then it will pick it up automatically there like that. So you can always use this media query when you want to check whether their orientation is a particular one, like portrait, on landscape, like that. But the major thing we're going to be using it for is to do our responsive design. So which means your design will be changing based on this screen that they are using. And you don't just target a specific screen, you target range of screen, because there's a lot of devices, but they are always in a range of particular value there like that. So that's what we're going to be using media query for later on, because if you check most of the design or file that you have there with you, you see that there is desktop design and there is mobile design going on there like that. For example, if I go back here now, go back to our, let me go back to the stuff. So we have this order. Let me go to this interactive. Okay, so yeah, even this one, does it have so let me just go for this contact. So let me find one of these design that is here. So yeah, so look at this design here. You'll see that there is desktop design and there is mobile design. So clicking on this desktop, you see the design that is going to come outside. As you can see, this is where the design is going to be where you are on desktop. As you can see, all the content here, they are placed side by side, which is you are going to be using grid for. It's the same thing too here, where you have this article like that. Let me check, let me click on the actual design. That one is not showing the correct stuff. Yeah, so as you can see, the content here, they are placed side by side. Again, to look at where this thing is placed, look at where this content is placed there like that. But now, anybody that is checking that side now on the mobile, they are going to see something else. As you can see on mobile, you see that the way the content are placed, it's quite different. So all this content here, they are now placed side by side there, or they are now placed on top of each other, like this. So we have this. So if you look at it now, they are placed. So when on a screen, do this. When on the other screen, do that, and so forth like that. Depending, but what you'll be doing is depending on the design you are working on. Not that you just be working anyhow. You work based on the design. And anytime you want to work on this kind of a design here, you start from the mobile. Like whatever you are doing, you make sure that everything is looking nice on mobile. Then when you now increase you from your emulator, when you increase the screen, you now see, oh, it's not, then you now expand it. But the expansion you are going to be doing too is depending on what you want. You can see this is how it's going to look like. But this one is a big screen. This screen here is 1440. But no, it has to still look good on a screen like tablet. They do not give us the tablet design, but that doesn't mean your design should not look nice. Because if you put these 4 items now side by side on tablet on that 768, it will not look nice. So what do you do? So instead of it to be 4 like this, you know, it to be 2 2. On tablet, it will be 2 2. Then when you now get to laptop, it will now be 4 4 like this. So that's just the same. But you'll be using media query to adjust how the properties are going to work with each other there like that. So that's all about the media query. We start using it as from our next class, because we are going to pick a design from this list and we are going to work on it based on everything that I've been talking about right from lesson 1 there. So it's going to combine everything together. So another thing that we're going to be talking about, there is this transform properties, because there are some things you want to do that requires this transform. One of them is, I've done some of them yesterday for us there like that. So under the grid, so let me open this in another page. I think it is known as grid. What did I call it? So let me check. Yeah, so grid. So grid layout.html like this. So yeah, so this is it. So yesterday I was doing some stuff there. Yeah, I've commented them out, so it will not appear. So let's just do it again today. So there. So what is transform? You can transform your elements there. So the way your element looks like in the original state, you can transform it to another state there. And one of the transformation you can do there is to rotate the element. You know, by default, look at the box. But what if I want the box to be on a 45-degree there like that? So you can transform it and you rotate the stuff, or you can scale, which is what we did yesterday. So original size, you can scale it down or you can scale it up. Another one that is useful there is this Q, and the one I did not put there is translate. So that one too is very, very important. So it's not on this list, so we can translate. And when you talk about translate, it's just like, yeah, you know, you are moving something like that. So translate, you can move it from up down, you can move it from left to right there like that. So you can translate it. For example, when you click on the box, it will move from this original location, it will move to this end here like that. But you know, it doesn't require JavaScript, because that click now require JavaScript. But we're not going to be doing the JavaScript part. What we just do that, it will happen automatically there like that. So how do we do this? So we can go to any element and we can transform it like that. So let's just select the box, the first box that is here. So first child like that. And what do we want to do there? So let's give it another background so that we see that it's being targeted there like that. So we can transform it, and when you use a transform, it has different function you need to pass into it. You can see these are different function or different stuff you can do on it like that. So we have the matrix movement when you are dealing with 3D world, but we are not after that. So perspective, this one too, when you are in 3D world, that's where it is needed like that. But the one we need right now is just this rotate. So this one now, you can rotate your element the way you want. And when you're doing rotation, it works in a degree, or you can work with or in radian rather. So, or you can use turn. So one turn is just the same thing as you turning like 360, but you know, it has already turned. It's gone back to its original location. But here we can just do 45 degrees. So which means we are rotating this element on by 45. But when you're dealing with rotation, rotation work in two ways. it deal with x and y coordinates. So when you do rotate like this and you not specify the coordinate, it's doing it on both the x and y axis. But if you want, you can always rotate on the axis that you want, like that. So you can rotate x or rotate y. But this is the one that is more practical for us right now, because in order for you to be doing the other one, it means you have to be in a 3D plane, and we're not doing any 3D right now. So save it, and as you can see, it will rotate the element. But what if you want to move it from its original location to another place? So you can always translate the stuff like that. So we have translate, and as you can see, there is translate, which work for both x and y, or you can translate on the x alone. That means you're only moving it on the x. If you want to move it up and down, you can use y. Z, this one only works when you're dealing, you only see this one when you're in 3D. You know, this is x, this is y. Why the z is like it's entering the laptop, but you cannot see that one. This is x here, like that. Let me bring out my this thing, my brush. So where's my brush, so that I can understand? Yeah, screen brush, brush. Where are you? So come aside. So yeah, so when you're talking about, so this is going to be our x, or let me change the color, like that. So let me use the red color. Yeah, so this is going to be our y, and this is going to be our z, or let me use another color. So this is the x, this is the y, then this is the x, like that, and for the z, that one is like this, as you can see. So it's on a plane, it's go like it's inside. Let me use another color so that it's come outside clearly. So for the z, it's something like this. So it like it's entering. So before you can see it, you have to be in a 3D world. You can actually make your element to be 3D by using perspective and all those things. But for now, we don't really need 3D. What we are working on is just the y and the x axis. But if you want to, when you're in 3D world, that's where you are going to be using z, which is the z. But if you are not in 3D world, if you are using it, you will not see anything, because it's just like the thing is entering the laptop, and you know your face cannot see what is at the back there unless it's turned to your side. Since it's not turning to your side, you will not see anything that is going on there, like that. So that's how it works. So when you now want to translate now, you can translate on the x. So here, from its original location, we are moving it. So positive is going towards the right, negative is going towards the left side. So this is original. Let me disable it first, so that way it will be in its original state. So this is the original state. So this element here, we want to translate it from here to here by 50 pixels. From its original location here, we want to translate it, move forward by what? By 50 pixels that is there. So once I save it now, as you can see, from original location, it will shift by 50 pixels, whatever value. But again, too, we are talking about the x. If you want to move the y too, there you can always move them. So if it is the y you want to move, so instead of you putting x here, like that, then it's going to be y. And once you save it, you see that from this in, it will come down. Please, it's moving the edge, oh. It's moving this edge of the box, not that it's moving the center. It's not moving the center of the box, oh. So it's moving the edge of the stuff, like that. So, and if you want to do the two of them together, you can just do translate like that, and you see that it's going to move. But if you notice, it's not doing anything on the y. Why? Because the value by default is just 0. So if you want it to do something for you on the y, then you have to put the value of the y here. So here, if I want it to go up, I will just use minus 50 pixels like that. So it's on the x is going forward, on the y is going up like that. But if you look at this thing, it's doing it instantly. Like this thing is happening instantly. It's not something that is waiting for us like that. But in order for us to see what is going on here too, like that, I need to remove all these things so that I can see it, because I'm using staggering right now. I cannot bring two app together. So what I just need to do is to disable this stuff. So my stagger, let me wait for it. So let me disable this my stagger. I hope it will not disturb my recording. Yeah. So let me disable this my stagger. Like that. Let me see. Oh, my recording is still ongoing. All right. So what I want to do here is that I want to be able to place the code and the other one on top of each other. So if not, it's really fast. So you will not see what is going on there. So let me move them together. So let me move them together. So where's my code? Let me move it inside this box like that so that I can see what is going on there like that. So let me collapse the side. So where is it? I don't want this command B like that. Again too, I don't want to see this one so that we have enough screen like that. So if you look at it, the movement is sharp like this. You can see you do not even see what is going on, but we don't want it to happen like that. We don't want it to happen like that. We want it to happen when we move on top of the box. So I think I want it to happen when we move on top of the box, because when the stop load, it will just move like that. So I'm going to disable it in this way. Then we want to do this box like that, not you. So let me just remove this. Let me just do this like that. So when it is over, again too, so in order for you to see what is going on, let me just do it like this and let me paste this one. So save, as you can see right now. But now, so saved when it is over. So you can see now, anytime it is over, the stuff is really moving sharp, and that's where this transition comes in. So with transition, you can control the duration between the movement of from one value of that property to another value. By default, your translate here just assume that it is just 0 0. So when you now over on it, from that x of 0 now, you are changing it to 50. For the y, you are changing it to minus 50. So you don't just want the stuff to just jump from that 0 to this value. You want it to use this number of seconds or milliseconds to move from that old value to the new value. So that's where transition comes in. And when do you be putting the transition? So you put it on the element. So here we have the transition. Transition is a shorthand for our property. So transition is a shorthand property because you can use it for duration, property, timing function, delay, and behavior. But let's type each one of them one by one. Then we now use them. So we have the property. So which property do you want this thing to happen to? So when you say all means that any property that is changing on this box, so it will always use whatever setting you are doing with your transition. So once I save it now, nothing will happen yet. So go back to the page, and as you can see, it's still jumping because I have not really give it the time it will take to move from that old value to the new value. And that's where this one comes in, which is on a transition duration. So how many, as you can see by default, it is 0 milliseconds or 0 seconds like that. So here, things are calculated by milliseconds, not in seconds there like that. So here, if I use 5, if I use 5, so here we can use 30 or 300. So here, when you want to do seconds, there, so if I do 3 seconds like that, it's still the same thing as you using 300 ms. So anyone you want to use, 300 ms is the same thing as you just saying 3s like that. So what this mean is that this thing will take 3 seconds to change from the old value to the new value, which is crazy. These 3 seconds to us, it looks slow, but on this thing, it looks fast, but it's actually slow because it is really slow. But for us to see what is going on, as you can see, so as you can see, all of them, when they are changing in value, it will always take 3 seconds. But don't forget, I've already said anytime all the value. But it's not all the value that I want to target. I want to target the transform. So yeah, now what I'm saying is that it's only when the transform property is changing, that's when it will take 3 seconds to change. Like that. You can see other one, they are fast. Not before the background too and the box size. They are taking time to change. But this one now, we say it should only do it when the transform property change. But if it is all of them, as you can see, 3 seconds is really, really large. So you can always do, if you want to use milliseconds, you can use 3 point. So this one means 300 milliseconds. So it's either you do it like this or you do 300 ms. 300 ms is the same thing as you doing 0.3 seconds. But no, if you divide it by 100, then you get or like that. So you get this thing. So save, which is going to give us this nice. So as you can see, so it's going to take this amount of milliseconds. But if you look at the color, see that the color is changing fast. So the color, we are changing color from blue to orange. So if you want to do that one too, if it is the color you want to make this to happen to, what you just do is the background color like that. So which means this one will not work for that transition again. So what you to be working on is the color. As you can see, is the color that will be taking that 0.3 seconds to change, or let me just use 1 second so that it will be more visible. As you can see, anytime the color change 1 second like that, that's what is going to. So as you can see, the color will always be using 1 seconds to change. But what if you want to combine multiple property? So you just use comma and you combine them together. Right? So when you want to depend on multiple property to change like that, so it's going to do it for both the color and this thing. So both of them. And again, if you want to use separate thing for them, you can always use comma here too. So it means the first one is for the background color, the second one is for the transform. Like when you use one value, it will do it for all of them. So which means background will take 1 second to complete. Transform too will take 1 second to complete. But yeah, I don't want that transform to take 1 second. I want that one to take 0.3. Like you can see, that one will move fast. So the transform will fast, but the background will take 1 seconds to complete. Another thing that we have there is this transition timing function here. So this is another thing that we have. So this is the function, because everything you are doing here, like your time, you can always delay, like the way the animation is going to, or the way it's going to transition. Do you want it to start slowly, at the middle it will go fast, and at the end it will go fast there? So we call that thing, or what the CSS is using, the mathematics is using behind this thing, is known as this timing function like that. So in CSS, when you're talking about timing function, it's just a graph. Then the way you draw the graph, it's not like you have something like this and you need to move up around. So now when you want to go up, you can see it will be stiff. Before you get to the top, you have to put more power, so you go slowly. But now when it's going down, you see that it will go down fast. So you can now construct the graph in a way that, based on the way you construct the graph, will determine how the stuff will move within that millisecond. So we have it called time function like this, CSS. So we have different graph for it. As you can see, animation timing is the same thing too, but this transition is what we are talking about right now. But it's still the same thing when you are dealing with animation like that. So this transition function, we have some like that. So you can even, let me see if we have no, I want the visual one. It's on here. This one is just documentation. So visual like this. Let's go to visual so that you can see what I'm talking about, because I just want to show you like that. As you can see, so we have different graphs there. So you can see this thing will move from here. You can see when it here, it will, that means you are going up slowly. Yeah, this place through like that. But if you look at this one now, you can see, so again, depending on the timing function you are using, because you can create the code to generate the graphs. And based on the graph, you see the element will move according to that flow. So how do you define the stuff? That's where this, your own, you don't need to do the mathematics that is behind the scene there. The function will take care of it. Your own is just to define all the points. Now all these graph, they have points. So all these points too, you don't need to be specify the point of x and y. You don't need to do that. Your own is to use what the CSS is giving us there like that. Even if you want to do the point, the custom one, it have the function, you just pass the value. It will not generate the corresponding stuff. But CSS actually give us some of the predefined value. So we have this we have this is in, we have this is in out, and we have this is out. So is just mean that it doesn't go fast, it doesn't slowly. Again, we have linear. So when something is linear, it means nothing is stopping it. It's just straight line. So the way it starts, that same way it's going to go throughout the entire of the seconds that you mentioned there like that. So it doesn't give any kind of so it doesn't slow in between or slow slide. But we have this is in out. Is in out means that it will start slowly, at the middle it will fast, but at the end too it will slow like that. So that's what is there like that. So let me just use we're only let me focus on transform for now, so that we know that we are dealing with one item. Um, one item. All right. So yeah, you can always talk about a function. So and it have the inbuilt function here that you can always use. As you can see, so it starts slowly at the middle, it will go fast, and at the end, it will. So at the middle, it will fast. Then when it's going to the end, it will go slowly. And again, too, you can create your own custom function by using the cubic bezier. So this is a function here that will do the necessary. So whatever number you pass here, it will translate it to a coordinate number that will draw the graph behind the scene there. And as you can see, there's a lot of, so with all those is out, is in, behind the scene, they will generate their corresponding code inside this cubic bezier. This is the function that will generate the corresponding graph function. You can see when it's going to the end, it's fast, but it started slowly. So it starts slowly, but it will go faster like that. So, and again, too, you can always go online to create different function cubic pixel value like that. So that's what this thing is generating. So there's a software online that you can use that you just adjust it there. Then once you are done, you copy the cubic pixel code and you use it in your project, because it's not something that you'll be using your hand to, as you can see, so the movement, so depending on what you are. So this is where the, like you can see, this is where the explanation about, if you want to read about it, you can come here and read about the stuff in this thing. You can see that they have two the same this thing, but because they have different timing functions, you can see that they move differently there like that. So as you can see, so this is another function. The way they move is depending on the function that you pass into it. And this bezier here is what, so this will be translated to the graph that you have there like that. So this is the duration, then this is the progress, how it's moved like that. But the duration is only the same, but the way they are moving is different, or their progress is different there. So, and you can always create your own custom cubic bezier. But the CSS predefined value is always okay for most of the time, except if you are doing some crazy stuff, then you need your own custom this thing. What you always see me using is in, out. Is always okay. 90% of the time is okay. Or what is there by default is if you don't specify it like that. So is what is going to give you by default like that, which is just move like that, is in, out. They are kind of related to each other like that. Again, too, another thing that is very important is transition delay. So you can see that this is our transition now. The moment we said once we get over, it starts instantly. But at some time, you want it to delay for a little bit of time. For example, if you go to some site, you see the element they are coming in one by one, or it's even here already. So what is going on there is known as transition delay there like that. So let me quickly scroll down. What's wrong with this thing? So let me go back to Mayoverse site like that. So, and let me go down. You see that the way some element comes in, it's quite different from each other. As you can see the way they are coming. So this is what we call delay. So delay allow this one is going to delay, it's going to come in, but delay for this number of milliseconds before you start doing that changes. By default, it will just do these changes instantly, but sometimes you want to delay first. So yeah, the same thing is just like your duration too. That's the same way you pass it here. So yeah, what I'm saying is that the animation will work, but after we get there, wait for 1 second first before you start the transition in there. So once you, as you can see, it will wait for 1 second, then after that, that's when it will always wait for 1 second before doing the stuff. And all of them can be combined together on one line by just using transition like this. So here you are going to be passing the property the way I arranged it. So you pass the property like that. So you pass, or this one you can always put it as the second number. The second number is always the delay like that. So transition is a short-term property that you can use to do all these things on one line instead of you. So this is what we are transforming. This is the duration. This is the timing function. And if you want to, you can pass your delay like that. So let me comment out all this one. So save, go back to the page like that. It waits for 1 second before it started or before it do the transition. Before it transition, it will always wait for 1 second, but it will do it within 3 seconds like that. And what are you transforming? You are transfer, or what are you transition? The property you are transitioning there. And if it is all of them, just pass all here. So which means anytime any property is changing, it will, as you can see, it delay for 1 second, then it now use 3 seconds to, because all the value, even the value we mentioned here, there's a default value there before it now move. But because the thing is really fast, your eye will not see that something is actually changing. But now with our transition now, you see that it will wait first for that number of this thing before it start doing the necessary stuff it needs to do. So this is the transition. But if you look at the transition now, it's only focusing on one property, movement of one property to another property. But what if you want to transition, like you want to apply multiple property at the same time on that element within that number of seconds that you supply there? That's where the animation comes in. So you want to rotate the element, and at the same time you want to translate it to another place, or you want to do some crazy stuff. You always use animation, which is the advance of just transitioning from your value to, you can do the other one too, like all this one now we only did translate. So if you don't want to translate, you can always rotate along with it there, so 45 degree, and at the same time we want to scale it up like that. So let me remove this delay. The delay is too, and again too, let me change it to transform so that it doesn't affect any other property. So now anytime you go there, it will translate, it will rotate, and it will scale up the element. No, we are changing all this value. So we are changing all the value, so it will always apply the stuff. But what if you are not just talking about one value like that? You want to do multiple values at the same time, and you need to do a lot of crazy stuff about your transition in there like that. So that's where animation comes in. Both of them look alike, but they are not the same thing like that. So animation can be used to create smooth transition between different state or property values like that. While transition is just transition properties can be used to specify how element transition between different states or property. It looks like they are the same, but technically they are not the same, because the way you arrange them with animation, you can do both forward and backward. So like your animation can, and again too, animation can continue. You can define the number of time it's going to run, not just, this one is just once, but that one you can define the number of time it's going to do it for you, or it to continue doing the stuff like that. When you go to some site, you just see some element, they'll be bouncing up and down, and that's how they're going. So animation is where all those one, because no transition is just moving once, the movement is once, but animation, it can move more than once. You can talk to it by the counts. You tell it, specify the counts of the animation that you want. I don't even need to disable this one, so let me leave it like this, because I will still use it. I'll still use all these other values. So let me just save it and remove the other one. So what do we want to do now? So the animation too follow the way we have this transition. So we have animation, which is the short term property, and we have the as you can see, it have its own timing function, it have its own duration, but this one now come with name. Again, because one animation can be applied to different elements. So it have its delay, it have the film mode, which is what I mentioned. So it can, when it starts, do you want it to stay at that end value, or you want it to reset back to this starting point? So that's what we call fill mode. Iteration can, that's what I mentioned about, it can do it 1, 2, 3, or infinity time like that. So again, it have this timeline, and if you want to do some crazy stuff, that's where all these range, but we're not going to be talking about all this one. What we just focus on is the timing function, the duration, the name, the delay, fill mode, and again to the play states. So this one is what you can use to control whether you want your animation to play or not. For example, when I'm on this box or when I'm on the container, that's where I want the animation to play. Once I leave that place, it should not do. So you can control it by specifying the state here. You can see pause, or you can make it to be, by default it is running. So when you don't specify, it is running, so which means it will work But when you say pause, it will not do anything until you play the stuff, which you can use JavaScript later on to just click on the button to play and pause the animation like that. But for now, what we want to do is animation name like this. So what is the name? The name is, you be the one that will define. Animation now, it doesn't know which proper, it doesn't know which stuff you want to do with all your animation. What are you doing? Are you changing the color? Are you translating the element? Are you rotating the element? Are you doing it? So it doesn't know what you are doing with that. So you need to give it a keyframe. Keyframe is just like you, what do you want to do within the duration that is specified. So what are the steps do you want to take? So what do you want to do within that number of duration that you mentioned there like that? That's where keyframe comes in. And each keyframe, you are going to be attaching name to them. And the name that you attach to that keyframe is what you are going to give to animation. So how do you define a keyframe? Keyframe is just by using this this is one of the art rules that I talk about. We talk about the media. So this is another art rules that we have. So keyframe identifier now is the name that this one is requesting for. Whatever you use here as the name, that's what you are going to go and give animation here, because whatever you are doing here is what animation will follow. It will do within the number of the duration of that animation. For example, here I just want to call it bounce. So which means here I can just call it bounce like that. So what it's going to do is that to look at this your stuff that you define here inside your keyframe, and it will perform all of them. But this your keyframe, where do you want it to start? So is it at the beginning of the animation? Is it at the center? Or is it at the end? That's where we have, that's why it is called keyframe or timeline. And as you can see, you can define when all this thing is going to happen. So at the 0% of the animation, that means when it's starting from, we want to translate the element to y. As you can see, the element will stay at 0y. But once you get to the 50%, it will go up. Then when you go to the end of the animation, it will come back. So which means this thing, it will, at original position, it will go up, then come back to original location there like that. So what is doing here is that, but you will not see anything, by default it is 0 in the original place. But assuming that one too is not 0, it will move it to that side first, then from there go up, because since it's negative, then from there it will come down at the end of the animation like that. So we gave it this bounce, but what about the time? No, we do not give it the duration it's going to take. So we need to use our animation duration like that. And this thing is going to take how many seconds? So we just want it to take 3 seconds, as you can see now. So pam. But there's a problem here there like that. Imagine we have what we have there. So let's change the value here. So we have transform and we have translate. Let's just say 50. Let's just say 50 pixels like that. We said the original stuff here is 50. Can you see what just happened? No, before you normally, assuming there is no animation at all, this is where your box will be, when there is no animation at all. But when you say your animation want to start, it should move to 0. Then from there at 50%, it will go up. Then at 100%, when at the end, it will go back to 0. But don't forget, the element itself is not actually at 0. So when anytime animation is done with whatever it's doing, it go back to the normal state of the element. It doesn't stay where you stop. Like whatever stuff you do with your end animation, it doesn't stop at that place. It will go back to original definition of that element. And that's where, or that one of the value I was talking about comes in that time. So again, there, let's just say background color is going to be orange like this. So save. So as you can see, so at the end, it must always go to, so as you can see, it go back to original, and that's where this value comes in, which is this animation fill mode. Animation, come outside now, animation fill mode here. So if you don't change this in, it's always backward. Backward means just go back to whatever the element used to have. So but when you say forward means whatever you do here last, those are the value it will maintain, not that it will go back to whatever that is there before, like that. So you can see it doesn't go back again. Your last value from the animation is where it will stay, like that. So majorly, if you want it to always stay, if you don't leave it like that, it is backward like that. So whatever value you by before, if I don't put this one, you might not really see any changes except from the color. Again too, if I don't do any color stuff here, you might not see anything, you might not see any difference in between them, because the value, the last value looks like what is here before, and that's why I have to put all those, I have to do some changes here. So once those changes comes in, that's where you now see that it's actually going back to where it's coming from. As you can see, it's go back again to the background too. It will go back to where it is before, which is blue, even though your animation stop at orange like that. So in order for it to stop there, so you have to change it to not backward though. Like that. So forward, like that. So another thing we have here is the, how many times do you want it to do this thing? No, you just did it once now. So we can do this animation iteration counts. So yeah, I want it to be 3. So which means you to do it 3 times. That's first time, second, and the third one. So if I want, I can make it to continue like that. We can use infinite. So just keep doing it until someone leave this page. As long as you are still on this page, it will always do the stuff, which is some stuff. Again, we can now use our timing function now to control how it moves. So timing function, where are you? Timing function. Yeah, so we can use different, so linear means it will just, the way it's like there is no stop in between everything, the way it starts, the speed it start with, that the speed it will take to end, like that. You can see it will go at the same rate, nothing like in between jump. Or you can use some crazy cubic bezier like that to define how it's kind of, you see some of them they will be juggle, as you can see what has happened. So at start is slow, but at the end it's always, so Kubi Picture you can use it to create different kind of, you see the same 3 seconds you're using, but within that 3 seconds, the because of the curve, so there's some places that it have to climb up, while some it have to come down based on the function, as you can see. So you see the same thing, but through function here. So you can have this same design here, and through your function, it will give you different kind of stuff like that. Again, too, let us know when you are doing transform, you have to do everything on one line. So let's rotate by 45 degree like that at the center. So rotate is just going to be let's just go with let's go with 270 degree, and from here rotate. I just do nonsense, so this is going to be 0 degree like that. So save, you can see pum, phew. So you can create different thing you want there like that. So to keep, again too, we have another thing known as where is that one self? There is another one that I'm skipping here. Let me bring it out. So animation, where are you? So delay. If you want to delay it too, you can delay the stuff before. Again too, this is what I want to talk about, the direction. There like that. So your animation, there is some animation that when you go like this, then when you want to do the second one, you need to count backward. Not that it will go forward first. Let me bring that one in. Let me remove this rotate first, so that it will be, let me remove this rotate and let me save it. And then let me change this one to 3. Again too, let me change it to 3 like that. Save. You can see it have to start it when it's starting. So it's finished one, it finished, it will start again. Let me save it again. When it starts, it have to go, see, it will now start again. So it, when it get there, it stop there now. But we don't want it to be like that. We want, as the counting should just be where it stop, just start the next one automatically from there. Like that. So we have direction that you can use. So you can reverse, or you can even reverse the stuff. So we have the animation direction like that. So here we have alternate. So this is what I'm talking about. Alternate, just do the stuff from the other side like that. So go up, come down like that. As you can see, it's not like before that it have to reset itself and now recount again. It's not recanting from the start again. Let me save it again. So once it go up and it come down, it just start from there. Not that you be doing some kind of again we have some other value you can do here, reverse. So when you reverse it, the end will now be the starting point, the starting point will now be the end like that. So that's us. Or you can reverse and alternate too. So when you wherever you stop, just start from there, just make that one as the starting point and continue. So that's the alternative there like that, alternate like that. So and again, you can combine all of them together in one single animation this thing. So anytime we need all this in, we're going to be using them like that. So in the next class, we're going to be working on a real design. So I'm going to pick one of the design there. So we work on it. We use all the necessary stuff we talked about, media query and so forth like that. There's still some other thing we need to talk about, which is position. But that one, when we need it, that's what I'm going to bring in. But you already have some basic stuff that you can start doing your normal HTML, CSS like that. Apart from that position part that I have not, or property that I have not talked about, because it have places you need position. Because if you look at Mailverse site, you see that on a small screen, there like that. You see that on a small screen, see the way this thing have been positioned. So it's not like it's positioned on top of other content. So this is position at work here, like that. So we're going to be talking about that one because it's very much needed anytime you need to position stuff in the hot side, like anything that you need to place in some places that is not supposed to be. So you're always going to use position property. For example, here now on this site, is being used a lot there, like that. So when you click on when you click on login, you see that this thing pop up. So this is position here. So this thing is position on top of other content there, like that. So you need position in order for you. The same thing here too is what is going on here. So if you click on this, you see that it will pop up and it's on top of every other content. This is position here because